Hey Raider Nation, I'm Mark Mize here on the Richland High School Football Coaches Corner Show, brought to you by PES. I'm here once again beside Richland assistant coach Troy Hughes. Troy, great to have you here again.
Thanks, Mark.
And so it is week 5 of the season as Richland is coming off a 53-21 loss to Huntland in the first region game of the year. Had some interesting new performers coming up on offense though, as you had the injury to Trey Stacy in practice. And so just talking about some of the guys who stepped up from the scout team and were able to actually make an impact in the game, just how do you feel about their performance?
Well, first and foremost, Mark, we moved Jimmy Hickman, which is a senior football player. We moved him to the offensive side of the ball, and that came about. Jimmy had run scout team offense for us during the week, during our bye week, and done a really good job of running the football. And we had an injury to Trey Stacy during the bye week, and we were looking for somebody else to put in the backfield to complement Briggs. And the way Jimmy ran the football in practice, we thought, hey, he's our guy, so we put him in, and they had a good night Friday night.
And of course, Jace Urwitz got in there as well and had his first career touchdown. The two of them actually, between Hickman and Urwitz, actually combined for over 100 yards. So what did you see from the freshman in there as well?
Well, absolutely. Jace Urwitz, I coached him last year in middle school football, and Jace played on the offensive line last year. And he came out, and he's undersized right now as a freshman for an offensive lineman. So during the spring, Coach Moose put him at running back, fullback, and he kind of learned, accepted the role, and done a really good job Friday night. And actually, he's getting better every week. He's getting better every day in practice. He's gotten where now he runs the football with some aggression, some authority, and that's what we want out of him. He's going to be a between the tackles kind of runner, and he done that Friday night. When we called his number, he put his shoulder down and got as many yards as he could get.
And then overall, it's interesting, you mentioned the scout team. That's something we don't usually talk about too much when it comes to high school sports media. The fans probably don't have a real idea of what to do as far as that. And so just give us kind of a breakdown of how you run your scout team and how you prepare for opponents each week.
Well, we go into the week, and obviously we'll start with our scout team offense. We put our starting defense on the field and get them lined up, and then we'll have a scout team offense, which primarily is made up of guys that play offense and some guys that don't play very much on Friday night. And they each have a responsibility, a position that they play, and we go out and with not a lot of rehearsal time. It's just kind of because it obviously changes from week to week as every team's not going to run the same offense, so they have to be flexible and get in there and we'll show them on Monday what we want them to do, and during the course of the week, as the week goes on, we get better at a scout team offense. But basically what we do on the scout team is try to simulate the best we can what the opposing team is going to do on offense on Friday night. And we've got some guys, like I say, that don't play much on Friday night, but they step in there and they accept that role, whether it be a wide receiver role, whether it be a running back role, and to the best of their ability, they give us a look of what the opposing team is going to do to us Friday night.
And then getting back to the game, the offense looked really good at times moving the ball. Of course, a tough night defensively, but Caleb Briggs still had 150 yards and his team-leading 5th touchdown of the season. It really seems like even on a quiet night, he really can stretch the defense. Had a 66-yard rushing touchdown.
Right. Offensively, we felt okay with our efforts Friday night. We were able to move the ball at times. Here again, we're trying to run a up-tempo, high-paced offense and run as many plays as we can. And unfortunately, Friday night, that didn't work out for us from an official's perspective. I think last count there was 43 flags thrown in the football game. And I'll say the majority of those were thrown while we were on offense. So when you're trying to run as many plays as you can run and be up-tempo and high-paced, and every 2 to 3 plays there's a stop in the action, it kind of counteracts what we were trying to do on offense. Now, a lot of those, there were some legitimate holding calls, and take nothing away from Huntland. They done a great job on defense, but we weren't able to get into a flow and to get into a rhythm of what we like to do offensively.
And then finally, saw what was probably your most efficient passing night of the season. I believe you only attempted 10 passes, but had 67 yards, including a 35-yard touchdown strike from Braxton Woodard to Latrell Daly. Just what did you think about how the passing game shook out in the game overall?
It was a little better. We felt like we put a couple of pass plays in specifically for Huntland, which was a flare pass to a back out of the backfield, and then another pass we call bullets, which is a quick go route to the slot receiver, which is Latrell Daly. And we tried to throw that early in the game, and they intercepted it. And then we were able to connect on a couple of flare passes in the backfield, which kind of puts their rover or their strong safety in a predicament. And later on in the game, in the third quarter, we were able to connect on the bullets route with Latrell Daly, and he done a good job of catching the football in a little traffic, and he was able to score a touchdown.
And finally, Huntland's vaunted rushing attack had a really good night, though. DJ Taylor rushed for 300 yards for the second time this season, and Cameron Reed, actually, the freshman, came up, had over 100 yards as well. How'd you feel about what Huntland was doing, and who impressed you in particular?
Well, they done a good job. We went all week for 2 weeks, actually, the bye week and the week of preparation prior to the Huntland game. We knew what they were going to do. We knew they were going to run the G. We knew they were going to run the ISO, and we knew they were going to run the toss sweep. And those were the three plays that as a coaching staff and as a defense, we felt like we had to stop. That's their bread and butter, and we knew that's what they were going to come out and try to do. And we worked all week on stopping those three plays. And unfortunately, we had some missed assignments and didn't necessarily do the things that we were coached to do. And they made us pay for it. And without question, with a guy like DJ Taylor, if you miss an assignment and that guy's left one-on-one, he's going to beat most anybody, and he was able to do that. And he's tough to bring down when you're trying to tackle him alone. And obviously, he had a successful night rushing the football and scored several touchdowns.
And then finally, looking at the defense once again, you did have some individually really strong performances. It looked like Gus McGowan had a great game.
Absolutely. Gus McGowan had his best game of the year. Now, with that being said, I think he finished the game with 12 solo tackles and 3 assists. I think that gives him a total of 24 solo tackles in 3 games, and I think maybe 10 or 12 assists. So without a question, he's leading our team in tackling. Now, with that being said, I don't care what level of football you're playing. If your safety is your leading tackler, he's the last line of defense, that's not a good thing. And now, with that being said, Gus McGowan played his best game of the year, had some really nice tackles, a very aggressive Friday night, and made just about every play that he was supposed to make. Really nice effort out of Gus McGowan.
This is the Richland High School Football Coaches Corner Show, sponsored by PS. We'll be back after a quick timeout.
I've got my closest friends over to watch the game on cable. Did you know you can advertise your local business during this cable program? Via Media represents the advertising for your cable system. They could put a TV commercial for you right here on this system during this show. Let Via Media help you. Call Via Media today or viamediatv.com.
Here at First Baptist Pulaski, we are not perfect people. To perhaps consider this is terrible. Start that again. You're going to delete all these, right? Don't keep these.
Fellowship's the word I was looking for. Doofus. Yeah, you put that in the reel.
And this is still rolling. Oh, for the outtakes.
But we would love for you to join us in worshiping a perfect God. #struggle, right?
Welcome back, Raider Nation. I'm Mark Mize here on the Richland High School Football Coaches Corner Show, brought to you by PES. We're here alongside longtime Richland assistant coach Troy Hughes, and looking forward to next week, or that is this week's game versus Fayetteville City, September 16th. It'll be homecoming for the Raiders. So just what are your opening thoughts about Fayetteville City and what it means to have your players playing on the homecoming night as well?
Well, we're excited. We're excited. You know, it's homecoming week. The student body is participating in activities, and Mark, we're coming out and we're practicing just like it's a regular week. We're playing a Fayetteville City team that's coming into the game at 3-1. They got beat last week by 3A Cascade, which is a pretty good 3A football team. And on the season, Fayetteville City's they've beat Franklin Road Academy. They beat a Huntland team that beat us last week. So we're going to have our hands full with Fayetteville City Friday night.
And looking at last year's game, which was at Fayetteville City, Raiders fell 28-7, but had to feel like it was one of your better defensive performances of the season.
Absolutely. Last year, reflecting back, I believe the score was 6-0 at halftime. Fayetteville City, a great defensive performance by the Raider club last year, and not only that, offensively, really moved the ball and done some things well last year against Fayetteville City. I believe we were discussing yesterday that they had 2 turnovers inside the red zone in the first half last year, and then the clock ran out as I think we were on about the 10-yard line going in last year right before halftime. So definitely had some opportunities to score last year in the first half and make that a little different ball game early. So you know, we've got a good feeling going into this week. Fayetteville City is athletic, probably without a question the most athletic team we've played thus far this year. They're really skilled at the skill position, got some guys that can really run, and they do a good job of getting them the football. We're going to have to go out Friday night and stay in our gaps, take care of our responsibilities, and depend on the guy beside us to do the same thing.
And so just your initial thoughts on what Richland will need to do well to have a chance to defeat Fayetteville City.
Well, we've got to tackle well, and it's going to be a little different running back this week than what we've seen the past 2 weeks. You know, Mount Juliet's Christian's running back was a power running back. Obviously, DJ Taylor from Huntland Friday night was 6'3", 215-pound power running back. Fayetteville City is not so much going to come at us with big power running backs. They've got guys that can really run. They like to make you miss, and we're going to have to do a good job of rallying to the football with 11 people. Everybody needs to try to get to the football and kind of surround the ball carrier, and he's going to try to make us miss, and he's going to make some people miss. But if you make one guy miss and we've got 3 others there, then hopefully we'll be able to tackle a little bit better Friday night.
And so, of course, offensively in the Huntland game, you saw a few wrinkles that you hadn't seen before, including Latrell Daly kind of running a little bit of a wildcat where he was actually taking the snap as well. Do you think you'll continue to see certain wrinkles like that in the offense?
Well, definitely so. You know, Latrell done a good job now. It was his first time at quarterback, and we'd worked on it at practice. It wasn't just something we came out Friday night and drew up in the dirt. We'd worked on it all week in practice, and it wasn't flawless. He may not have ran exactly where he was supposed to run and hit the hole that he was supposed to hit, but even though, with that being said, he ran the football hard and he's tough to bring down. So you know, yeah, you can probably expect to see some more of that Friday night a little bit, along with some other things that we're going to try to implement for Friday night that hopefully will be successful against Fayetteville City.
And now that you've had 4 to 5 different running backs who have had strong performances this season, do you feel like you have added depth to the position to kind of give Caleb Briggs a chance to rest a little bit more and maybe even play a little defense?
Without a question. We've got some depth at running back now, and Caleb just runs extremely hard, and he's getting better. I think he's going to be able to run more, not come out as frequent as what he's been coming out as it cools down a little bit, and he's in a little better shape, and hopefully you know, that he can stay in the game a little bit more for consecutive plays than what he has been the first couple of weeks. But without that, you know, if he does have to come out, we still got Gus McGowan that's going to come in and run the football some. We've got Jimmy Hickman that's going to run the football some. We got Jay Sherwich that's going to run the football some. And you know, as I mentioned, Trey Stacy's out with a broken hand right now. In a couple weeks, we hope to get him back, which will give us a full arsenal of running backs.
And then finally on defense, other than improving on tackling, is there anything in particular that you think the Raider coaching staff would really like to see the defense improve on going into this week?
Well, defensively, we've made some adjustments. We've moved some kids that were playing offense to defense, where early the first 3 games of the year, we were trying to play 22 guys as much as possible, 11 on offense and 11 on defense. And at this point in the season, it's cooling down a little bit, and we're in a little better shape. We've moved some guys that play offense to defense, and they're going to just have to play both sides of the football. So hopefully we beefed up our defensive line a little bit and switched some linebackers around a little bit, and going to do some things different on defense to try to be a little more effective in stopping the running game.
And finally, this is the first time today we'll have touched on special teams, but Jace Urwich now with 7 consecutive made extra points, and Latrell Daly actually had a punt that netted over 40 yards after a generous roll. What have you seen from the special teams this season?
Special teams not bad. Obviously we work on those during the week and pre-practice. Latrell gets out here and kicks every day. Jace gets out here and kicks extra points and field goals every day, and those guys are improving. Latrell does a good job of when he takes his time. He's getting more confidence in the blocking in front of him, and when he takes his time and does things the way he's supposed to, he can really punt the football. And like I say, he netted a 40-yard punt, and that's effective for us. If we can continue to get that effort from him and pin some folks deep, it makes play calling a little more difficult when you're backed up on your 5 or inside the 10. As an offensive coach, you got to be a little more strategic about the plays you call and not gamble as much when you're backed up. So hopefully he can continue to do that, and we can kind of turn the field on some folks as the season goes on. With Jace Urwich, like you said, 7 for 7, and he just gets it done. That's about all I can say. In practice, he'll miss a few extra points and miss a few field goals, and you kind of shake your head. And then we get in the game, and it's just one right after the other. And not only that, it all starts with our snapper, which is Hunter Evans, is doing a great job for us, snapping the ball back there, and also Braxton Woodard is the placeholder, and he does a good job of handling the ball and getting it on the ground so we can kick it.
And do you think it adds a little bit extra incentive for Fire that this week is homecoming week and the festivities and everything as well?
Well, I'm not so sure that homecoming really adds any extra fire. It's a football game that we feel like we've made progress, and we took a step back last week. Huntland was a game that we felt like we had a shot to win. And, Coach Moose used the example of South Alabama beating Mississippi State week 1 of the college football season, and everybody had kind of wrote Mississippi State off. Well, they're not going to be very good. They're not going to compete in the SEC. And then Mississippi State came back last week and beat South Carolina, which obviously is an SEC school. So even though, we dropped a game to Huntland last week, our first region game, we still feel like that we can be competitive. And if we do things right and have some breaks go our way, we feel like we feel like Fayetteville City's a game that we got a shot to win.
Well, thank you very much. This has been Richland Assistant Coach Troy Hughes. I'm Mark Mize, and this has been the Richland Coaches Corner Show brought to you by PES.